Food for Thought with Professor David Bitte.
A very good morning. Thank you for tuning in. It's another Friday morning. It's Food for Thought with Professor Ndete. Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, OCD. That's what we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks, but we haven't quite finished. We have still more that we need to talk about. So I want you to catch up with this conversation as we continue to learn more, because information is power.
Yeah.
This is a condition that affects both children and adults, and also who are more susceptible to it, men or women?
I think from the statistics that I have seen here, we do know that even infants can have emotional problems.
Okay.
You didn't know that?
No. Infants?
Yes, and yes.
Okay.
Even if people in the stomach,
Wow.
they can have problems.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they can have problems. And this is why when people start talking about termination of pregnancy, they must know that they are talking about human beings
Yes.
who have emotions.
Wow.
Some of the things, as far as children are concerned, I must say we don't have our own data, but the fact that we do not have the data, the fact that we have not found it, we do not know, it may be a reflection of the fact that we have not looked for it.
Okay.
Yeah. A good example is there's a condition we call ADHD. When there's something to do with hyperactivity,
Yes.
attention in children. When I was a student, we used to be told that this is a condition that only occurs in young people,
Yes.
and as you grow out, you grow older, you
grow out of it.
you grow out of it.
Yeah.
And we were told you can never make a diagnosis on ADHD on an adult. Now we know we have adult ADHD.
Yes.
We are not saying adult ADHD is a new condition. It has always been there, but we did not know how to recognize it in adults.
Yeah. Okay.
But now we know how to recognize it in
Yes.
adults, and then we find it. So the same thing applies. So most of our studies have been on adults, because this is where we have been asking most of these questions.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering, for somebody who has obsessive compulsive disorder, are they prone to other conditions?
Yes. Listen, you cannot have. We started with a young father.
Yes.
Yeah. How do this father, the thought of killing his son, striking that child on the head and killing, and he had run away? Is it not natural for this person to develop anxiety?
Yes.
To be fearful? Is it not just natural for this person, this father, to get depressed? So
Wow.
it's so normal.
Yes.
Because they have insight. They have insight. They know what they are going through is abnormal. Of course, in the extreme cases, they may not even know. They may lose what is inside. In other words, they don't know that what they are doing is abnormal. But we are talking about the majority of the cases. He knows it's abnormal, and it's going to stress him. You would expect him to be depressed.
Very true.
Before we started seeing these things, the light in which I have described to you, we used to read in books that people with obsessive compulsive disorder, in 66%, I can remember that figure, in 66%, they have depression.
Wow, that's a huge number.
There's a huge number.
Yeah.
Those figures, I think some of the books that I have here in my office, some of them go back to long before I was born. And they are talking about those figures. And we did not know exactly why this comorbidity is when you have two conditions occurring at the same time.
Yeah.
We're talking about compulsive disorder, obsessive OCD.
Yes.
We are saying 60%, 66%, 2/3 of them have this condition. We will just see those conditions. We didn't understand why. Because it was not very it was not a good practice that time to start talking about two psychiatric conditions occurring in one person at the same time. That would be a little bit too much.
Yes.
But we know several can occur in the same person at the same time. And no wonder. They used to teach us, this used to be classified as one of the anxiety disorders. Anxiety is that it's a lot of fear, you're anxious, one of the things, there are very many of them, used to be classified, it has now been reclassified as not as an anxiety disorder. This OCD, which is classified as an anxiety disorder, seems to be different in the sense that it seems to respond well to antidepressants rather than to anxiety, confirming this association between depression and obsessive compulsive disorder. Whether this depression is what you may call reactive, in the sense that this person is already going through a lot of stress, and because he's going through a lot of, it becomes depression. It can become depressed, because we know there's a relation between stress and depression.
Yes.
Or whether we are dealing with two conditions that seem to occur together and are not necessarily related, we do not know for sure. But it could also be that. We also know that, and this is, we've been able to show it in our data here, that people with obsessive compulsive disorder, about a third of them are prone to schizophrenic illness.
Ooh. I remember we talked about schizophrenia sometime.
Yes, are prone to schizophrenic illness. In other words, is it possible that these two conditions share the same pathways in the brain that account for these different conditions? Suffice to say that there are many psychiatric conditions can occur together in the same person. Just like somebody with diabetes can have high blood pressure, can have other conditions, can have kidney problems, can people with cancer can have, of course there is cancer, they can also have very many conditions. So when you look at this, you begin to realize that physical conditions and the psychiatric condition or mental conditions are kind of mirror reflection on in terms of condition that can occur together.
Okay, so I'm just imagining when somebody is in that state, you can't really focus on anything else, can you?
You can't focus on anything else. Your mind is so much preoccupied. That becomes a big problem.
Is it treatable?
Yes, it is treatable.
Wow.
It is treatable, and it's treatable in two main ways.
Okay.
As I said, 66% or 2/3 of them have comorbid depression. So you treat the depression and the conditions seem to get a little bit better. So it's treatable in that context. It's also treatable in the sense that you can sit with people and try to make them understand what is going on, because they do not quite understand what is going on. Am I bewitched? Where we started. Am I possessed by some evil spirits? Do I need to go see a pastor? Do I go and see you? You explain to them, they begin to understand how it is affecting them and how it is affecting other people. Make them understand it is a medical condition. That kind of treatment is what we call cognitive behavioral therapy. You start by changing the way people think, the way people perceive a situation, and as they change the way they think, it is also going to affect the way they act. We call it a cognitive behavioral therapy. In some cases, Isaac Marx used to prescribe a rubber band. A rubber band which you put around your wrist. So that if you had this thought in your mind, you just pulled it, snapped it, and the pain was such that it would distract you.
Oh, man, it distracts your mind, yes.
To focus not so much what you are thinking about the pain. And that used to be classic treatment.
It looks so crude.
It looks so crude.
Yes.
Or you pierce yourself with a pin.
Yeah.
Because it was the only knowledge that was available at that particular time. You'll be surprised how the things that we used to do, or not me, but the profession used to do, not only in mental health, but in other physical conditions, because we did not know exactly.
Knowledge was limited.
Knowledge was limited.
Yes.
But with the knowledge, now we understand much, much better what is going on in our minds.
Well, we've run out of time. The other day somebody was telling me this segment is so short because we are getting a wealth of information, and I'm glad that you're tuning in to get information about mental health issues, because information is power, and the more we know, the less the stigma will be that is associated with mental health issues. So ensure you tell a friend to tune in every Friday and to catch up with these conversations, because they are very beneficial. Have yourselves a great weekend. We'll look forward to catching up with you on this conversation next week right here.